Hello and welcome to Arena Football League Weekly here on the World of Football YouTube channel. I am your host, Adam Snow, and we're going to talk about Week 5 of the Arena Football League, or as I like to know this league now, as the first reality show professional sports league out there. That's right, every week you don't know what teams are going to make it to the next week. I mean, at this point, we should have a real reality show league, right? Because each week you get a bunch of teams that play each other, and then at the end of the week, everybody eliminates a team. A team gets a bye week or immunity there, like Survivor. I think that'd be absolutely great. I hope somebody, if you're going to take that idea, just call me and we'll, arrange financial details as we need to. But before we get into covering this week's slate of games, guys, and some of the news, I would like to remind you guys that we do have a couple of other shows on this channel that we do pretty frequently. Let's start with the one we do every week, and that's This Week in the World of Football, hosted by myself and my dad, Randy Snow. We talk about everything in the world of football, from the NFL, the new season of European League of Football. We got Canadian football about to come up, arena football, indoor football, so much football jam-packed into 1 hour show that you will not be disappointed when you go over and listen to it. New episode just went up the other day, so please go check that out wherever you can find your good podcast. And I'd also like to just, plug another little thing out there, and that's Just Lying Around, that my brother-in-law and I do, where we talk all about the Detroit Lions, our favorite NFL team. So we do a podcast every so often, covering the Lions whenever there's something to talk about. So if you would, go check that out as well. So here we are, guys. It's Week 5, Arena Football League, halfway point of the season, and so much has changed since, this league started off 5 weeks ago. And we're going to talk about some of the teams that dropped off, but first we're going to talk about some actual games that were played this past week, starting with the Washington Wolfpack picking up their first win of the season, taking care of the Rapid City Marshals 76-20, in one of the most bizarrely entertaining and simultaneously horrendous displays of arena football I have ever had the pleasure of watching. Look, prior to this game, there was news that came out about the Rapid City Marshals bringing in replacement players to play this game. That appears to have been true. They went and played the game. It kind of explains the lack of arena football, tightness. Like they clearly weren't prepared for this game. But there's been so much with the Rapid City Marshals. Obviously, they boycotted a game not that long ago because the players haven't been paid. Now they bring in replacement players to play this game. Apparently, players weren't notified about the game. It's a whole mess. I don't really know what the whole situation is there, other than they brought in replacement players to play the Wolfpack, and then not too long after the game, you have the Rapid City Marshals being the latest arena football team to fold. And it's a sad sight to see, now that the league has lost another team, and we're going to talk about another one here in a second, but it is a bit of a bummer. I thought once Jeff Fisher came back, I knew things wouldn't be perfect, but I didn't think we'd still be losing teams left and right. I figured they'd cut the fat when they did, and they were just going to make do with what they had. But they're still juggling things around. So, it's just another week in the Arena Football League, I guess. One other note from this game here, the Washington Wolfpack, after all that stuff, kind of the dust settled from that, they put out a tweet or a post on their social media saying, broadcast correction. During the broadcast of our game last night, players were incorrectly identified from the Rapid City Marshals team. None of the Rapid City Marshals players mentioned during the game played. We apologize for any confusion. So what you're telling me is you knew that they were replacement players, but forgot to read replacement player names, and then you had to apologize for that. What? Come on, guys. We got to do better than that. Heading out to New York, the Albany Firebirds got the victory in one of the most entertaining arena football games of the season, defeating the West Texas Desert Hawks 47-46. Albany was down for much of this game, but scored 26 points in the fourth quarter and 11 points in the final 11 seconds of the game to claim the victory. This game was absolutely crazy. When I saw the ending of this game, or heard about the ending of this game, I went back and rewatched it. It lived up to all the hype, even though there was one point where they're going for that immaculate 4-point play that the clock was running. And while I'm not well versed in the rule book, I'm pretty sure the clock shouldn't be running when, they're doing any sort of extra point play. This was also pointed out by our friends over at Off the Wall on Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call that site. They pointed that out too. I noticed it right away when I watched the replay. I thought that was a bit disappointing to see, because that played a factor here at the end of the game. because I did think it was cool that the game ended on an Uno. What a crazy way to end the game. And I mean, when I went back to rewatch the whole game, because I love the ending so much, I was like, I need to see most of this game. So I went and rewatched the whole game. The game opened with an Uno. So the fact that the game opened and closed with an Uno was pretty cool. Also, the 22-point comeback for the Firebirds was tied for the 7th biggest deficit in Arena Football League history. Thanks for that little note from our friends over at Arena Fan who posted that. And they posted a spreadsheet of some of the other deficits that were overcome for victory. That was some pretty cool stuff there. Yeah, this was so entertaining. I mean, the Firebirds, I don't know how they keep finding themselves in these situations where, the first game of the year against the Orlando Predators was chef's kiss, brilliant. What a fun game that was. They had to work their way back to win that one. They have to work their way back in this one. It made it entertaining. So the Firebirds are a team to keep watching just because they keep finding themselves in these situations and end up having some very entertaining games. I also want to throw, not shade, but I just want to maybe poke a little fun at the Firebirds for they wore their all white jerseys during the game, and or they wore their white jerseys. They were trying to do a whiteout for the game, and as I'm watching the game and looking at the broadcast and the fans, I don't know if the fans got the memo. I mean, as good as the Firebirds PR team and their organization has been, and they've been awesome, creme de la creme, if you will, of the Arena Football League, in terms of just running their team. This might be the one little misstep that they've done this year where they tried to do a whiteout, and I mean, maybe they just meant for themselves. I took it as it was a whiteout for all the fans, and the fans didn't get the memo. So I just thought I'd mention that. The Southwest Kansas Storm got a forfeit victory over the Oregon Black Bears. The Black Bears were unable to travel to the game. The Storm then found a replacement opponent in the AIF's Cedar Rapids River Kings, but that game was only played in exhibition. That's right. Look, they got a big win over Cedar Rapids, and that didn't count. But we're going to talk about the Oregon Black Bears situation here for a second because there was a couple days there where one day they did the forfeit, and then they disappeared from the league website. Then they were back on the league website. Then they were off the league website, and now there's this stuff that's come out where Humble, the provider for a lot of the merch and stuff for the AFL to start the year, they had that deal and everything. They had an announcement that they put out there where they, were expanding their partnership with the Black Bears, and there's a lot of trepidation with the Arena Football League. So I don't know what the deal is here. Like, how could they? I don't know what the Black Bears plan is going forward if they are no longer a part of the Arena Football League's plans, which we'll go a little bit more into in a bit. But now that the Oregon Black Bears are kind of on the way out, I don't get what this partnership is or what that even means. I just find that very interesting. And as far as this exhibition game for the Southwest Kansas Storm, I do think it's weird that they've had. I'm not a big fan of when these other leagues have to schedule out of league opponents. It's not crazy about that. To me, that's a sign of a league not really getting their stuff together, which, hey, welcome to the Arena Football League. If you've been paying attention for 5 weeks, they don't got their stuff together. But I get also wanting to have a game so that your players can get money, so you bring in fans and whatnot to your games to at least have some sort of revenue in there. So I get it. It's better to play a game than not play a game. So I get it. I just optically, not a fan. But and let's not even get into the Cedar Rapids River Kings shenanigans that they had from their league over there in the AIF, because that's a whole other can of worms, which we're not going to talk about here. But if you need to, go look that up. The Orlando Predators held off the Nashville Cats 69-62. The Predators, while controlling the game, did let the Cats claw their way back into it, but they did hold them off at the end. This was another fun one. When I kind of started watching this one live, the Cats were down by quite a bit, but that's when they started, having the comeback and everything. So that was pretty cool to see them. They also converted a 4-point conversion like Albany did, which is pretty sweet. And a lot of people didn't know about this 4-point conversion rule. Apparently, that was a whole other thing where even like coaches were like, I didn't even know this was in the rule book. Apparently, it was in the rule book from the start of the season. Some people speculated or accused the league of inserting that rule later on, but apparently not. So I don't know. I had at one point the PDF of the rule book, but I didn't save it. I was like skimming it, and I just never saved it, and then it disappeared. And in the final game of the week, the Salina Liberty took care of the Wichita Regulators 54 to 25. On by this week, the Billings Outlaws. And now we look at the standings for the Arena Football League, which is now down to 9 teams. At number 1, you have the Albany Firebirds at 5-0. At 4-0, you have the Billings Outlaws. At 3-1, the Salina Liberty. At 3-2, the West Texas Desert Hawks. At 2-2, the Orlando Predators. At 2-3, the Nashville Cats, as well as the Southwest Kansas Storm, and at 1-3, the Wichita Regulators, and in last place, the 1-4 Washington Wolfpack. So as you saw by the title of this video, and I've talked about it a couple points during it, the league is now down to 9 teams. When they kind of did their restructure, they were at 10, then they added the 11th. Now they're down to 9. This was information that kind of came in an article or press release about the Arena Football League appointing a new president and COO in Jared Wildman. In the press release for his appointment at his position, it was also stated that the league would operate as a 9-team league. So here we go, here on out. The league's going to be a 9-team league, which is fine. I mean, again, you're just trimming the teams that just can't keep up with the way the league wants to be structured. And it's unfortunate to see teams and players like that just, kind of thrown to the wayside. I really hope that the players for these teams that have folded get compensated or at least get home, because it's been a messy situation they've had to deal with all season. And I would hate for that, it's going to be leaving a bad taste in their mouth regardless, right? So I just hope that they can clear that up and figure out how to move on from there. But as it stands, we have these 9 teams. It's a solid 9 teams, but that also is going to put the schedule in flux, as it has been for weeks. The schedule has been in flux. We've already had the Wichita Regulators postponing their game this weekend. Then there's the Predators are going to be on a bye this weekend. So there's still so much shuffling with the schedule that it's hard to keep track of, and I would love to talk about upcoming games, but everything's been so in flux and change on a whim that even if I post it with that information, it's going to change in no time. It becomes obsolete information. So that's why I've been staying away from that. So I don't know. I'm okay with these 9 teams. I'm curious to see how the schedule will go from here on out. I know that the Billings Outlaws posted their upcoming remaining schedule. So we'll see how close they adhere to that for the remainder of the season. And we still have to get details on playoffs and the Arena Bowl and whatever else is going to happen from here on out to the rest of the year at the halfway point. And look, reaching the halfway point, there was times where I wasn't even sure we were going to get to this. But we're here. We have 9 teams left. We'll see how things play out. I'm very curious about seeing Albany take on the Billings Outlaws. Right now, those are my 2 teams I would put as the best 2 teams in the league. They're the 2 teams I want to see face each other the most now. Now that I've seen kind of everybody else play, those are the 2 I want in a matchup. We're going to get that if the schedule holds here in a few weeks. Also, be on the lookout. My dad, Randy, if you go listen over to the podcast or seen other videos on the channel, he's going to be going to the Firebirds Cats game this weekend, which I was going to go to when it was on a Sunday, but because of the sticking schedule, fluctuating, I can't make it to that now. So he's going to go to that without me. I'm really bummed about that. I was really wanting to go to a game. I still want to go to a game. We'll see how the playoffs and stuff shake out, if maybe we can work that in, but time will tell. What do you guys think about the Arena Football League so far this season? Are they in a better spot? Is it just getting worse? I know everybody's got an opinion on this, so let me know down in the comments below, guys. And as always, if you could, please, that like button, subscribe button, the little bell notification, be notified whenever the World of Football drops new videos. It would be greatly appreciated, guys. We're getting closer and closer to 1,000 subscribers, which is absolutely insane. And it's thanks to all of you guys out there watching who keep coming back and watching the videos. It does mean a lot to us. We love interacting with you. So please continue to do so, because I love and talk about this stuff as bad as it is, for some of the time. But we've had some great football this year in the Arena Football League that also shouldn't go without talking. So that'll do it for this week, guys. I'm sure there'll be some more news that'll break at some point. So if it's not in this video, there's a lot of great places you can find that information. But if not, I'll talk to you next week about all that stuff as we'll bring it up again. And until then, guys, we'll see you next week. Hopefully. If they don't fold. God.